good, YouTube? It's your homeboy, Unilibrado. Alright, so it's been a while since I've made a vlog type video or whatever. And I don't know if you could even consider this as a vlog type video because I'm just sitting in my kitchen. I forgot my sound recorder, so you're just gonna have to deal with this sound audio and smoke alarm detectors, beeps and stuff. But I guess in this video I wanted to talk about being Mixteco and growing up in America, or the United States of America. Because I have heard from my uncles and other raza telling me that there's Mixtecos going to Europe, like England and Germany and stuff like that, to work on work visas and Canada. But I want to talk about this, since I grew up in the state of Florida in the United States of America, and I'm Mixteco. Even though I am Mexican, I have always felt that I've always been a Mixteco before being Mexican. I don't know if that makes sense. I guess because Mixteco people are the older generation, and this is what I want to talk about too. The older generation, they're more traditional, and they've always instilled, at least in my family, my folks, they've always told us that we're Mixtecos. You know what I'm saying? We were never referred to as Mexicans, because I guess if you look back in history, Mexicans have always been the Nahuas or the Aztecs. So for us, I guess since we're very traditional, well, my family, not me, because I wouldn't be rapping and making rap music if I was really traditional or whatever. But we've always been told that we're Mixtecos, and our language, my parents never spoke to me in Spanish. If you want to check out a video explaining of why I didn't grow up speaking Spanish, I'm gonna put the video right here. Maybe you can click on it, or you can click on the link in the description box below somewhere. But yeah, I didn't grow up speaking Spanish. Me and my sister, we didn't grow up speaking Spanish when I was growing up. My parents always spoke to me in Mixteco, and I won't go too much into depth into that. You can click the video and you can watch it if you want to. I just wanted to talk about this topic because lately, when I say lately, I mean like the last few years, I've been seeing homeboys. I know there's a homeboy on YouTube who raps in Mixteco, or I think it's Zapoteco, I'm not sure. Well, shout outs to him. My respects to the homeboy for doing that, bringing awareness, for our community and whatnot. I guess on this video I just wanted to talk about my experiences being a Mixteco American, because I know there's a lot of folks online that I've encountered over the last few years, especially through my music and anything else I've posted online. I know I've encountered a lot of folks, whether it be on Facebook, here on YouTube, or Instagram, and lately Snapchat stuff. Dang, I sound old and I can't even remember what stuff is going on nowadays. And I just wanted to share my experiences being a Mixteco American, being a Mixteco and growing up here in the USA. One of the things I tend to relate to nowadays with other immigrant families, if you're Mexican, you probably share some similarities. But I'm talking about because I grew up in Florida, like I said earlier. I grew up here in the state of Florida, in Central Florida to be exact. I grew up with everybody from Boricuas to Cubans to Colombians to Jamaicans, Haitians, and other little different Caribbean island kids, whether they were black or Latinos or and of course Mexican kids I grew up with too. But that's who I grew up a lot around. Oh yeah, and shout out to the Dominicans too. I ain't gonna forget you guys. I grew up with a whole bunch of different cultures. Some of these guys that I grew up with, they had their own language, their own culture, their own dialect. So American culture to some of us was something new, you know what I'm saying? So some of y'all might be able to relate to what I'm about to say or whatever I'm about to speak on. Growing up around all these people, one of the things that brought us all together happened to be rap or hip hop, you know what I'm saying? That's the one thing that brought us all together. Brought me, into American culture. Because a lot of people ask me, yo, so if you're like Mixteco, why do you, aren't you supposed to be traditional, yada yada, blah 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 blah? Why are you so heavily into hip hop, or other Mexican, traditional films? We just call it cholo music or whatever, and that's what my parents called it too, gangster music or cholo music. It was mostly because hip hop or rap music was, I guess the early stages of rap music was mostly, it was an outside thing to American culture, you know what I'm saying? So that's why it drew me into it, you know what I'm saying? So as a Mixteco growing up, man, there was that, not speaking Spanish thing. Here's the thing that's gonna be a shocker to some Mexicans. And I don't mean this in a way to discriminate or anything like that, but oftentimes Mixteco families, we would tend to see other Mexicans as outsiders, as foreigners too, you know what I'm saying? And I'm about to spit some game like history, because history in Mixteco history, at least the part of where my folks are from, or my family originates from, is from Oaxaca. The Spaniards, or the Spanish, the Españoles, they never really had a strong presence in the area where my parents are from. My dad tells me story of his grandpa and his grandmother and his uncles and aunts, and how many people were so traditional that they didn't want to go to school when Mexico started, when the Mexican government started implementing schools, in the community, so that all these indigenous people could learn Spanish and become modernized. And my dad tells me stories about how a lot of people didn't want to send their kids to school because they saw the government as a foreign, as a foreign power coming in to change their community and change their way of living. You gotta remember, these are very traditional people. These were people that were never really affected. And I gotta be careful how I say this, because some of y'all might, be more into this than I am. But I just want to share this for the younger guys and for the other people that have been asking me about, being Mixteco. I guess Mixteco people never really wanted to change their people, you know what I'm saying? They didn't want to learn Spanish. They didn't want to learn all this foreign way of life and foreign way of thinking and foreign way of just being and living, you know what I'm saying? So, my dad tells me stories of how, like, for a long time, like, people would tell their kids to not go to school. People would tell their kids that school was an evil thing, basically, that school was to make you lazy, school was to make you soft and weak. Because to these people, they were really traditional. They had lived off the land for so many years. And then let's move on to another point, which this also reminds me of. This is just a ranting video, just to share some of my thoughts and whatever, you know what I'm saying? My dad also tells me about stuff such as, going on to the topic about people living off the land. My dad tells me, and if you read history too, you also know, if you read history about the Aztecs, the Nahuas, the Mayas, the Incas, how they really believed in the land, they really believed in the sun, they believed in spirits and stuff, and they were really religious people. So when the Spanish came in, or the Españoles came in, what they tried to do was to subdue all this religious stuff, human sacrifice, and eventually it led to Spanish killing people, as criminals, because they wouldn't, stop human sacrifices. After that, I guess eventually the local people, or the indigenous people, they started adapting, into a new form of worshiping, which was animal sacrificing. From the 1500s up into the, modern day, my dad tells me about how people, he remembers his grandma and his mother, even though they were, I want to say, devout Catholics, they would still kill chickens. Sometimes they would sprinkle the chicken's blood on the land so that the land would be, so that their harvest, in crops, in corn and maize and elote, frijoles, beans and whatever else they planted, so that, they would think, or they used to think that the blood of these animals would feed, the land would feed, or the soil or the land, whatever, they would drink this blood, and they would, the crops would be, harvestful or plentiful or whatever. And some people even went as far as, cooking of good caldo de pollo or caldo de res or whatever, you know what I'm saying? They would make atole and stuff like that. And they would pour it on the land so that the land would be fed, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not sure, and I don't know how many other, Mexican communities were like this, where people really, the Catholic Church never really conquered them. The Catholic Church, or the Spanish, never really conquered them. They just adapted to it, you know what I'm saying? They just molded in their old religious practice, they just mixed it in with the Catholicism. Yeah, man, so that leads me to, I guess, the great migration of, Mixtecos coming into the Americas or the United States of America. I see, as a Mixteco, I see myself as a Native American, you know what I'm saying? Here goes the clock. Okay, so as a Mixteco, I see myself as a Native American. We've been here since, I want to say since, well, in history books that I've read, Mixtecos have been in Central America since, or Mexico or whatever, have been there since the 1100s. So that's like what, 300-400 years before the Spanish arrived. And here's the situation with Mixtecos not calling ourselves Mexican. They're identifying ourselves as Mexicans fiercely, because if you go back in history, Mixtecos, our enemies were the Aztecs or the Mexica or the Nahuas. Our enemies were those people. They enslaved us. They took our people and sacrificed them as human sacrifices. And after the Spanish came, Mixtecos were forced to give up some of their lands to the other tribes that fought with the Spanish. And that's not to say that the Mixtecos didn't side with the Spanish eventually, because of all the genocide and all the killings that the Spanish were doing. But yeah, so I mean, that's why I guess some Mixtecos, we don't call ourselves Mexicans because of, history, But, modern days, yeah, we are Mexicans, yeah. Okay, so the next topic, man, because I'm just thinking of thoughts that I wanted to talk about modern day. As I see, more and more Mixteco kids, you guys like me or even females on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube and Snapchat and I don't know what other website there is nowadays. A lot of us are becoming Americanized, and that's cool, man. I mean, that's cool. I got no problem with it because, like I said, I'm into rap, I'm into hip hop, and I'm into all that stuff. Matter of fact, I was making a beat just right now, on the machine. So I guess what I wanted to talk about in this video is just bring awareness to how much history our people have as Mixtecos. I mean, we are a culturally and historically rich people. We should not be ashamed to be Mixteco. We should not deny of being of Mixteco blood, because I'm gonna show you guys a book maybe in the next video because I'm at my crib and I don't have the book with me. But Mixteco people, we know how to count in our own language. We had our own, obviously we had our own system of counting. We had our own language, obviously. We have manners. I mean, there's words for like sir and no ma'am, and there's words for that, there's polite and there's ethical words, you know what I'm saying? We also have ethics, you know what I'm saying? Like, such as kids shutting up when adults are talking, or always greeting your elders. I mean, we historically and culturally we are rich people, you know what I'm saying? But somewhere down the line, a lot of Mixtecos became slaves or subjects of the Spanish, and we forgot all that. Here we are in modern day, and so I just want y'all to not be ashamed, man. To learn your culture, to learn your language, your dialect. Be proud of your history. Be proud of your history. That's just point blank. Because as I go online, man, it's just I start to see this more and more. Mixteco kids, youngsters, they don't want to know their culture. They don't want to learn their history. They say that there's no use in learning that because it's dying out, or that these people are poor and they're uneducated. I feel like that's the wrong mindset to look at your culture and your history, man. I feel like, wait a minute, why do you have to be ashamed of your culture and your language just because they're poor and they're uneducated? If it's one thing that hip hop taught me, it's that take where you're from and take who you are and take your history and just roll with it, you know what I'm saying? Just roll with it and be it, you know what I'm saying? Live it. Also, as a Christian, as a born again Christian, and I'm gonna make another video about that, being a Christian and being a Mixteco. As a Christian, I also understand and I also begin to think in that sense that if Jesus Christ came to die for me, I'm pretty sure Jesus Christ didn't come to die only for the rich. No, he came to die for the poor too. So Jesus got love for everybody. I guess what I'm saying, man, is that don't be ashamed of to be Mixteco. Don't deny it. Learn the culture, learn the language. Don't let your people just become just another point in history. You know, the West, or Western society, Western culture, even though we are the original Western people, because we've been living in America a long time, hundreds of years before the Spanish came, before the European came into the Americas. So when I say that terminology, it just bugs me to say the West or the Western society. You know what I'm saying? We shouldn't let that. You shouldn't let Western society or American society or European society dictate to you what's okay and what's right to be. You know what I'm saying? Because your people have been here way longer. Your people have been enslaved. You know, they became servants and slaves and subjects to the Spanish for a couple hundred years. But you should also remember that your people have always been here in this continent. Okay, they knew how to count. They had their own system of reading and writing, even though it was not through letter form, but it was their own system of writing. If it wasn't for the conquest and the Spanish telling us that that's not the right way to read and write, we probably would have been like the Chinese or the Japanese or the Arabs. You know, man, I'm pretty sure I'm going just rambling on, but I just wanted to share this video, man. I just wanted to speak some game talk, some you know, some real stuff on here, because I really got nothing else to do right now. But I just feel like, you know, someone out there, some other youngster out there is gonna watch this and is probably, you know, in that stage of their life where they don't know, where they're trying to struggle with to identify who they are, because they're not like other Mexicans, because they don't speak Spanish as his primary language at home, and yet they're also not, you know, fully American, because you know, at home you eat different food, you speak a different language, you live by a different set of morals and values, and you know, I guess what I'm saying is I just want to encourage you, man, that if you're that kid, or if you're that youngster or whatever, yo, just learn about your culture, learn about your history, your people, and just keep it real, man. Just keep it real and keep it pushing. That's it, man. So peace out, God bless, and be easy. Yo, what's good, YouTube? It's your homeboy Unlibrado, Takunini Chicano. Now, a couple days ago, I posted up on Facebook about how I was a Mexican who couldn't speak Spanish real well. Mexican who couldn't speak Spanish real well. And I got a couple messages asking me, so what language did I speak, and you know, all that typical stuff. So I wanted to explain it on here, man. So growing up in Florida, I've always been surrounded by Latino